got the KT lock out. This is what it looks like for those of you who aren't familiar. So how it works is it goes on this side of the door, and this is the outside, and you pull the tab on it, and it's pretty tough right now because I don't have a lot of leverage on it. It was attached to the door, so that was like all the leverage that we needed to get it open. But I assumed that there was like tons of dirt, and I was right. All kinds of dirt and just like kind of rusty and has like, I guess, calcification on it. So I'm going to be cleaning this up, and while I'm doing that and kind of like checking out all the parts, making it to where everything functions correctly, I'll kind of show everybody what it's like. So for example, just one thing that bothers me is that the inside locking mechanism does not work. So that's this little tab right here. It's supposed to like push up and down, and it just isn't even budging. So I think there's just a lot of dirt, calcification in there that needs to be cleaned, and like put some, I guess, mineral spirits or WD-40 on it as well. I know that some things you can't put WD-40 on because it'll actually attract dust and dirt. So I'll see what works best for it. But the biggest thing is just cleaning it out and making it functional. So to get this off, and the reason I'm kind of talking about this is because I couldn't find any good information about this stuff, like in videos or anything like that. I'm not really sure why. No, it doesn't seem like anybody's really covered that. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to try to be helpful. So like I said, it sits on this side of the door, and I'll move the camera. So it sits in here, and obviously this is like where the bolt goes. And to get it off, you have to do everything else from this side. So there are 3 screws, here, here, and here, that you have to undo. Those screws I had to, I got 2 of them out and one of them broke off. But I actually ended up having to buy a screw extractor kit because those screws got stripped. So I extracted these 2, and then as I was extracting this one, it broke, so I'm going to have to drill a smaller hole and try to extract that one. So after you get those 3 bolts out, then you still have the handle. And this is just really dumb. The handle, I could not figure out how to get off, because on forums online it said, oh, you take the handle off, you just have to pull it off because it's held in by 2 roll pins. That's not true. If you read that, or maybe there are different types of KT locks, I don't know, this is not one of the ones, whatever they were talking about. There was a screw in the bottom, not in the top, not in the side, so I couldn't see it until I bent down and like actually looked. Flathead screw that goes through the bottom, and you unscrew that, and then you can pull the handle right off super easily. And then I was kind of able to jimmy it out of here. I had to tug on this part, the skin, to pull it out, and it came out pretty easily after that. So now I don't think I have to take off the door panel, which is nice. I thought I was gonna, all the other forums were like, yeah, you have to take off the door panel. I don't think I do now, which is great. So now I just have to figure out how to get the door panel back on that side, which all that would have been nice to know, because I don't think I needed to take out all these rivets. Like, all the forums that I was reading was like, oh, you have to take off the panel and take off the rivets. Not necessary in this case, so I'm a little upset about that. But not a huge deal. I can redo those rivets. We have all the rivet stuff that we need. So yeah, this is a KT lock. I'll go more in depth about that and show you guys what I find. And I think it'd be nice if there were a video on YouTube that goes in depth about like how these function and the pieces, because you can find schematics of these, but that's about it. And the parts for it to replace are super expensive. So the spring, it seems to be in good shape. Everything seems to be like intact. Nothing's broken or bent. It just really needs to be cleaned, which is great for our purposes. So that's that for now. We're going to talk about the KT lock for a minute. So I went ahead and got it reinstalled. So for those of you who don't know about the KT lock, this is a standard lock that used to come on an Airstream, at least on the Argosies. I'm not by any means an expert on this subject, but this is just based on kind of what I experienced, like taking this off, looking at it, cleaning it up, and then reinstalling it. So first thing, to take it off, you have to take off these 3 screws right here, okay? Those attach to the front assembly all the way through, and they're 1/2-inch screws, and they are number 6 screws. So I just use machine screws. So you have to remove those, and then secondarily there's a long screw here that's 1 3/4 long, 1 3/4 inch, and that's a number 8 screw. So again, another machine screw. Once you get those off, you do have to remove the door handle from this side. I broke it because I didn't know how to get it off. Like I had mentioned, I think before, I read a lot of forums and I was trying to figure out how to work this whole thing and to get it off. Some of the forums said that there were just what are they called? Like pins that are holding them in, and basically I thought it was just supposed to pull off like straight back. Not the case. There's a screw on the bottom here. It's just a flathead screw, and as soon as I took that off, this came off very easily. So once you have all the screws out and you take the handle off, you can try to jimmy it out that way if you have enough space to work with. Otherwise, you are going to have to undo some of these rivets on the actual skin on the door. And I would just do a few around here in this area so that you can pull it up, or even from this side, pull it up and get enough leverage or enough space to work with to pull the lock out from the front side, because that's how the lock's going to come out. Basically, the whole reason that we did that is because this was not a very solid working lock. Like, we couldn't just close it like that. We had to like mess with it and press on the door and really wiggle it around. It was super annoying. Now that I took it apart and I just put some 3-in-1 in there to kind of lubricate it, and took some wire brush and got as much of rust and dirt off as I could, it's working fantastically. Before, the locking mechanism wouldn't even budge, and now it works perfectly. And this is just a pin that screws in, so it comes out super easily. It's kind of silly, but yeah, that works. We're going to make a door handle. We're not going to buy one because they run like $40 for a new, just like aluminum or metal one. So we have an elk antler that we got in Colorado, and maybe one day we'll go into how that happened. It wasn't anything bad or anything like that. It was purely innocent. Found an elk antler, but yeah, we're going to make a handle out of that and put it on here. And we'll probably do the same for the stove, because that handle broke also when I was trying to remove it out of the Argosy. And it was just cheap plastic, so there's a trend there. So if you have any questions about the KT lock, feel free to ask. It's not super intimidating once you get it off the door, but kind of the biggest pain is getting it off the door, because for me, these screws were all rusted out and they broke off, and then I had to buy a screw extractor set to get them off. It was a pain for me, but maybe it doesn't have to be for you, because hopefully I did some of the hard work. All right.
Something really cool Micah just discovered today is these rods were sticking out from underneath the trailer, and couldn't figure out what they were for, so he did a little investigating today, and lo and behold, we have our own stabilizer jacks. So we just ordered some on which site?
I think it was through Amazon, because they were cheaper than buying them from like Camping World and stuff.
Yeah, and they just came in a couple days ago, so we're like, okay, cool, because when I work on the roof and I'm scraping up there and I'm getting all the caulking off. Like I literally shake the trailer, and we knew that we need something, and this is pretty awesome. We have some built in, so Micah said that we don't have to send back the other ones. We'll just use them in addition and kind of really make sure this puppy's stabilized.
Because we've been trying to figure out the water systems with all this stuff over here, because it does have a city water inlet, which I didn't think it did, but it's pretty rusted over, and we're probably going to redo everything with PEX anyway.
What is that, Rita? Oh my gosh.
But
She says, what is
I also
this?
saw these sticking out and decided to twist one with a wrench earlier.
And then I had remembered that there were like a million of these tire irons inside, and I was like, oh my gosh, I bet these fit it. So they're a little squeaky. Sounds like we're gonna need to put some WD-40 on them. So if anyone is interested of how this process actually works, Micah has, is it a 1/8 drill bit on there?
I think so.
So 1/8 drill bit, and essentially you just switch it to clockwise. You push it into the pop rivet, and so let me see if I can get you a closer look. So this is a pop rivet right there. The drill's gonna go in the hole. You push while you're drilling, and then eventually, hopefully, if it goes all well, the drill is just gonna kind of shove into the wall, and you're gonna be able to see the little rings around the drill, which Micah is throwing all over the floor that I just swept today. Thank you, my love. And now he's throwing materials at me. It's so messed up. Oh my god. So something that Micah's dad, I think, talked to him about when he was doing this was to make sure that the drill bit was constantly lubricated. So about every 3 to 5 pop rivets that we take out, we lubricate it with some oil. It's this 3-in-1 oil. It's working pretty well. I did not lubricate it when I started today, and I already broke one drill bit. So make sure to have lots of drill bits on hand. All right, doing a great job, babe. Sometimes they're really feisty and they don't want to come out. But Micah's very determined. Determination.